What is up, Wizards fans? Welcome to another Believe in Wizards podcast. I'm Modderno. He's Jahadi White. Sorry for the delay. That's mostly been my part. My fault here. I've been traveling a little bit, so we're gonna hit all the Wizards topics. Honestly, Jahadi, not a whole lot has happened in the last week and a half here, so I feel like we kind of didn't miss a lot that we can't catch up on here today.
I don't think we missed much. The Wizards kept playing, but not much to write home about right now.
They did get 2 wins during that stretch, so that's probably a better month than they've had. Their March is already better than their February was, so I guess that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get going, we're brought to you by Stateside Vodka and their Surfside Hard Iced Teas, Hard Lemonades, and BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. You can get the latest odds, lines, and match reports for baseball, boxing, UFC, golf, NBA, anything you want, even March Madness with that coming up too. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting on your favorite casino and card games. And you can head to the website or use your mobile device to get in on the action right now. You can use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for 50% off. Bonus on your first deposit, and BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, so let's just talk about last night's game just a little bit here. I don't want to do a deep recap because it was kind of awful, but the Wizards lose 127-98 to the Bulls, and a couple different people had this tweet, so I'm not going to even try to attribute it, but it was funny. NC State, winning the ACC tournament, had more wins in Capital One Arena in the last 5 days than the Wizards have had combined in Capital One Arena since April of 2023. So their 5 wins is basically makes them the best team in the Washington, D.C. area at this point.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's embarrassing.
That's crazy. Not only that, it's just people will find something to compare something to make to try to make the Wizards look bad.
Yeah,
so they found a good comparison right now. Hey, and it happens to be true.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, that's hard to put it in that context, but they are 11-56 on the year. There aren't a ton of games left. I guess just overall, what do you want to see from this team with, whatever the 17 games or whatever they have left at this point?
That's really tough to really even answer that one. And it's tough to really have an expectation at this point. Mm-hmm. Not because, the team is not doing well, but not because a team isn't as bad as they're doing. First of all, I don't believe that. Secondly, is more because there's so many injuries right now, so many players out. So you can't trust any consistency from your main players. Deni is out now. Mm-hmm. He was out last game.
Bagley's been out.
So now if anything, you want to see now is, let's see what these young guys can do.
Yeah, I think that's
Let's see what these young guys can do. Let's start evaluating for next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody at the end of the bench should now be at the front of the rotation here. Like, even some of the younger guys we've seen, I think you've seen enough of Eugene Omoruyi at this point in the year to know what he is and what you have. And he's got his 2-year deal. To me, playing him minutes at this point isn't really a priority.
I can see more of him, but we know what he can do. We know he brings energy. Yeah. He brings a sense of toughness.
If you need to play him, great. I just mean at the expense of, I'd rather see, I don't know, they're not the same position, but I guess they're kind of the same position, like Patrick Baldwin Jr. I'd rather see more of him at this point and see if there's anything there that, you can kind of get something from next season.
Yeah, it was, I know I'm going to destroy his name, but it was good to see I'm going to call him Champagne.
Yeah, I like that. There you go.
It was good to see Champagne out there. Yep. Champagne out there, yesterday's game. He didn't do too bad.
He's solid. I think there's probably enough there that he's an end of bench NBA player, I think, and with the potential to be more. He's still young enough, and it's a guy that was a super productive college player. Didn't even really shoot it. I think he's been a better shooter since making it to the G League than that. So at least there's some potential for him to go up. Getting a little Jared Butler minutes. Butler's probably the one I'm most interested in of the young sort of fringe G League guys, because I think he can at least be a backup point guard, and there's something there for him to play some minutes for this team next year. But there's just, honestly, there aren't really that many of the young guys that are super intriguing long term. I don't think any of these guys are really going to develop into full diamonds in the rough here, but if they can
No.
fill out your roster cheaply, I think that's still valuable too.
I mean, you can find guys you want to keep, that can hold, lower roster positions that can still make an impact. I think what you're looking for is who can make an impact, on my lower roster positions, right? Because then let's build from there.
Yep.
Right. So we know, okay, the big moves we're trying to make. We know the guys that we're trying to move. We know some things, our big game plan. But we still want to be able to, if an injury happens or we have to go to a third man in this position, it's still somebody who can really still make an impact. We can trust to put in there.
Yep. You made a great point last year with Jordan Goodwin, and I've thought about that with several guys this year too. It's just kind of the notion of you want some of these guys that if they're not going to play a ton, they at least push everybody else in practice and they play hard and bring energy. And you know that on a night when you're flat, you can put one of these guys in and they'll kind of give you like a little bit of juice. I think that's what Amarui does most of the time. I think Butler gives you that. Like he comes in, he's always kind of scrappy. So that's something I'd be looking for with a lot of these other like kind of fringe guys of look like which one can kind of like boost everybody else up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. You need impactful practice players. You need tough practice players, right? Because in the end of the day, iron sharpens iron. The team at the beginning of the season, it's that first quarter of the season, you play more against your teammates than you play against other teams.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So the only person who can better a specific player is your teammate, right? Like Gilbert always says, he wouldn't be the player he is if it wasn't for Larry Hughes.
Yeah.
Right. Playing defense on him. Right. That's what needs to happen because you don't want to face a tough, a more scrappier, might be place more skilled, but more scrappier, more tougher, more intense opponent on the floor.
Sure. Yeah, I like that. It's something I think about when I watch some of these guys run around. And like Johnny Davis got 15 minutes last night. He hit a 3, and I was like, yes, okay, maybe we're going to see a little spark from Davis here. And then he didn't really do anything else during his time on the court. I think he had like another layup and a rebound or two. It is just like, okay, at least when he'd come in previously, he was like dogging guys and trying to pick up 94 feet. And I didn't really see that yesterday either. I just think that one's probably just time to cut bait and maybe move on and give him a fresh start somewhere else at this point. It just doesn't seem like it's meant to be here.
Yeah.
All right. So the other young guy I think fans really want to see here at some point in the next couple games, since the Wizards just made a somewhat strange move to add him, is Tristan Vukcevic, last year's second-round pick. Before we get to that, folks, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you can click that little like button for us, if everybody watching this does it, it really boosts the profile of the episode and kind of helps other fans find this. So we appreciate that for you, and always hit that subscribe button as well. All right, so the Wizards add Vukcevic. He got part of the non-tax player mid-level exception, which is sort of an interesting way to go about signing him rather than using an exception you get for your second-round pick. So they're trying to like skirt some tax rules here, I think, which is interesting. He had to be had like a small buyout with his European team, and it's just not often that you see a team bring in a draft pick this late in the year. You're really getting the clock rolling on their rookie deal essentially. So the Wizards signed him for the remainder of this season for $2.4 million and all of next season with a team option for all of next season for another $2.4 million. So the speculation here is that they'll play the rest of this year out, kind of evaluate what they have with him, and then not take that team option for next year. And then they can offer him a full new starting deal for next season. So you may see a cheap 4-year deal be negotiated instead. So it's just really kind of a way to incentivize bringing him over and giving like a little insurance policy here. But his $2.4 million with only about 15 or 16 games left makes him the second highest paid rookie per contest this year behind Victor Wembanyama. So per game, he's doing pretty well for himself. So I don't know. What are you looking for from Vukcevic over 15 games? Is that even enough to integrate a guy into what you're doing to even
It's
to
going to
really
be tough for
evaluate
him
him?
to it's going to be tough for him to integrate in anything because he has no idea what the offense is. I have no
Right.
idea what the defensive principles is, right? So I don't know if that's what they're doing. I think what they're doing is saying, hey, let's go ahead and pull the trigger on this right now, since we've seen enough of him overseas to the point to where we can have him locked in next year for a cheaper. It's a quick move to get a 2-year player.
Just get him in the system here and have
Get
him
him in the
start learning what
system,
you want to do.
and because we'll have to end up renegotiating, paying more next year, and they probably are able to negotiate, have better negotiations, right? Just because it's the impact he's making overseas right now. So I think that's the move first. Secondly, we don't really have any big presence right now. We only have
Rashawn Holmes is basically it.
Holmes is there, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, Bagley is on the bench. He's hurt.
Yeah.
So that's another, and they're trying to see if, okay, we don't have any guy who can spread the floor either. He's able to spread the floor, but he's not a guy who really can run the floor or protect the basket or move laterally defensively, as well. And what's also surprising is, what did they had to pay 2 teams $600,000, right? They had to play Spain, the European team and the Spain team, Madrid team, and had to pay another team each $600,000 to get him over here.
I was not aware of that, and that's a great point. And that's a lot of money to buy a guy out. And you're
That's what
basically
I'm
paying
saying. So
$3
you got
million
to include
for
that
15
in all.
games.
You got to include that on top of the price that they had to give up.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's a hefty price tag for a short amount of development work here.
It is. So it had to be somebody, a scout. They have a scout over there, specifically watching him, watching his progress. For them to pull the trigger on him, they know what they're doing.
So I'm thinking of that 2 ways. It either means he's playing so well that they're like, all right, he's not going to develop anymore over there, and it's time to bring him here to work on some stuff. Or he's doing stuff over there that we won't want him to do here, and maybe we feel like it's better to bring him over here and start the clock on his NBA level development. So maybe a little bit of both. I don't know, but probably more of the first, right?
It could be both, but then if that's the case, why lock him in?
Yeah.
Why? I think he's making enough impact to say, oh, we can lock him in. We can get a really good player for a good price for, another 2 years.
I think part of this, though, is he's not really locked in. You have that team option for next year. You didn't give him the full 4 years up front. So if he looks totally lost over these 15 games and you see him in practice every day and you're not really feeling it, you can kind of renegotiate accordingly, I guess. I don't think that'll, really change a whole. Again, it's not enough to really change their opinion of him, I wouldn't think. But at least they can see him in person a little bit more before deciding.
Yeah.
Never makes no sense said in the chat that Josh Robbins, the Athletic, said that they wanted him here early so they can have a full summer for development and dictate what he does. I think that's probably a good point too. You can really kind of monitor what the strengths and weaknesses are and actually come up with a specific development plan for him. If you're the one saying hey, this, this kind of shooting profile doesn't make sense for you. We want you over here. You can work on those things a little bit more, or here's how we're going to play defense. We want you to learn how to do it this way.
Yeah, that makes sense because now you get to see him in your system.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see him in your system. What his strengths are, what his weaknesses are in your system, and then you can build him out in your system. Which means they plan on putting some time into him.
Mm-hmm. You got next year. It seems like it's going to be another kind of lost year again. So if he doesn't get a ton of run next season, there's something wrong there, I think.
Yep.
So big guy, about 7 feet tall, can really shoot it, but not really much of a rim protector, not really much of a rebounder considering his size. How do you help a guy improve as a rebounder defender? He's probably going to have to be a drop coverage big, at least early. So just with that in mind, how do you improve on those things? Is that strength work? Is it skill development? Is it just practicing rebound? I don't know. As someone who's lived this, walk us through what you would do with a young guy like that to try to help him on that, that side of the ball.
So rebounding and defense is completely different. You can help a big become a better defender by helping him be able to react faster. So, which means, okay, first of all, you're big. You're used to standing straight up. Defensively wise, you got to get down. You got to always stay down because now your momentum, you can shift your momentum, especially laterally, much faster. Problem with bigs is they can't shift laterally faster. If the ball's going one side and quickly reverses, it's a lot but it's because they're so used to standing straight up. So the big now, you have to literally the entire time on defense be sitting down on the balls of your feet, ready to react.
Makes sense.
So defense is tough for a big, but it's not as tough as rebounding. Because rebounding, honestly, is more of a mindset. And keep it real, it's something. It really doesn't have anything to do with basketball.
Just effort and want to and that kind of thing.
Well, you have to want to. First of all, you have to want to average so many rebounds per game. Secondly, when you're on defense or offense, you have to think rebounding. So now everything is about reaction time, a hit first time, take space up in a crowd time, right? Who's off the floor first time? Who's going to get the front man position, right? Because it's either I'm going to be on the side of you, I'm going to be in front, I'm going to be in back of a man. It's no other, right? So it's all of those things, all for just being able to make sure you do have access to get to that ball. Then you have to attack that ball in the air and then be able to pull it down and be strong with it. So that's kind of unique skill and really don't have to do anything but that has to do with learning how to dribble, learning how to put the ball in the basket, learning how to make a cut or screen. It's probably the most physical part of basketball.
Yeah.
And so now you have to have a physical mentality. It's more of a football game than a basketball game, rebounding is. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You have to have the right personality and it's the right mindset to be a good rebounder.
I feel like there are little tricks defensively guys always pick up like over time, over the course of their career that they kind of use to their advantage. Is there anything like that rebounding wise? Like any things you learned over the course of your career that you're like, man, I wish somebody told me this 5 years earlier?
Yeah, all the little dirty tricks that when I first got in the league that everybody did to me to stop me from rebounding. Yeah. The guy would step when the ball goes up, they'll step on your foot.
Hold you down, yeah.
And so now you're getting held down. Ref's not going to look at if somebody's stepping on somebody's foot, and then they'll jump off your foot to rebound. Another one is everybody got a hip bone. Your hip bone right there. If you put your forearm and press down in somebody's hip bone, they can't get up. They have to jump this way, right?
Interesting.
So those are two most dirtiest trick. And then also rebounding is the best trick in the book to get your lick back.
Oh, give them a little rib elbow.
So while you're in the air, you find out where their face is. As long as you got the ball, as long as your elbows are this way, you can't have them out. As long as your elbows are this way, you can come down and do like this, right? And look over there, and you just hit somebody in the face. So it's a perfect chance to get your lick back.
I like that. Okay. All right, Tristan, hope you're listening. We're going to need him out there pulling down a couple boards here. The other thing I think it's going to be tough for him is I think they're going to use him like almost exclusively as a floor spacer early on. And I got to think like that's as a 7-footer, like shoot over guys, be in the corner, almost like a poor man's version of what they tried to do with Porzingis. But there's no opportunity for you to get offensive rebounds as a dude that big if you're just basically in the corner on possessions, I wouldn't think. So if you've been a big your whole life, I got to imagine you're somewhat used to like getting offensive rebounds and things like that. It's probably not something they're going to ask him to do or he'll even be able to do on an NBA court right now. Not that guy's offensive rebound a ton anyway, but still.
Yeah, I think he's a faster version of the guy we just got rid of.
faster version of the guy they just got rid of? Porzingis?
No, the other big. Can't remember his name. I'm sorry, but
I'm blanking too.
You know, he was spread the floor, shoot a lot of threes.
Oh, Gallinari. Thank you.
Yeah,
he's
just a faster version of Gallinari.
I've already totally blocked.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was trying to figure it out too, but it seemed like we just getting a younger Gallinari.
Right, run the floor a little better, keep up with the other guys. If they want to run this fast pace, maybe he's a little better equipped to do that.
And I mean, he's what, 21 years old, so he's young. He's from professional pedigree. His father played in the league overseas as well. So what it looks like is somebody also he's young enough that he can grow. We can grow him into a guy who can probably move his feet on defense more.
Yeah, I think so.
If he get the right mentality, he can give us some rebounding. Right. So he's at the right age that he's still impressionable.
This is the kind of guy I'd rather them take a shot on than this 34-year-old or whatever the case may be at this point that is only going to get worse from that point on. So It Never Makes No Sense asked us, can you talk about the importance of communication on defense, especially from the center position, for a team's overall defensive development?
The center is the quarterback for defense. The point guard is the quarterback for offense. Reason is, offense is seen from the top down, which means, from half court to the rim. Defense is seen from the rim to half court. Right. So the guy in the back sees everything. So the center actually should be the loudest player on defense. He should be directing all the traffic just because he has the vision. He has the vision better than him. Think about it from a point. If I'm playing, I'm going to play in the perimeter on defense, right? the perimeter defender. All I see is my man and the other half of the court.
Right. Maybe the one guy, someone coming to set the screen on you.
Right.
That's about it.
So that's all I see. And that's why, what do perimeter defenders always say to the big man? They yell, call out the screen.
Yeah. But yeah, before I get blown up.
See shit.
Right.
Right. So the big has to be the one directing all the traffic, calling everything out. Right. So that when you have a big man who can do that well, that's such a plus. But just most bigs just don't have the personality to do it. But when you do, you have a really good defensive team. That's why Draymond is so well on defense. Right, he can see it all. He's high IQ defender, aggressive defender, and so that's why they use him a lot. That's why a lot of players, a lot of bigs at Golden State didn't work. Not so much offensively. It was just because that defensive scheme only works one way.
Yeah, you need somebody like really pulling the strings there and can be switchable. But then other guys have to do. I think that's the thing, right? Like you're playing basketball where a guy's staying closer to the rim, you can see more the whole time. But now you got so many bigs dragging you out away from the basket too. Like somebody else has to fill that void, and who's coming over on the weak side who's going to call stuff out for you. And there's more responsibility now shared on other guys, I would think. And probably a lot of dudes that aren't used to having to do that. So it's not a natural thing for them to call everything out.
Well, they didn't learn it in college.
Yep.
It's tough to translate to the NBA game, especially to a team that demands that right away and expects that and looks for that right away.
Yep.
Right. But then that's why it's a system thing. You go in a certain system's been that way forever, and they expect certain positions to understand. We got to be able to like channel you right in. If we can't channel you right in, then you might not fit, and you're just going to be sitting. Not because you can't play, not because you're not a great NBA player. You wouldn't be here if you couldn't play ball, because you don't fit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder about that sometimes with some of the like younger European guys coming over. Some of them are kind of more soft spoken sometimes, not to overly generalize, but you do see that. I think it takes a little while to get some of them to come out of their shell, especially for a guy coming over 70 games into the year, 65 games into the year. I got to imagine that's an even tougher learning curve. So how do you get him to go out there and be vocal and things like that? That seems like it's a tough ask.
It's not a tough ask. Luckily, it's not a tough ask. Reason being is we're not winning.
Okay,
So
you're not hurting anything if you don't do that.
He's not. We're not sacrificing anything. He's not hurting anything by teaching him that. Oh well, we're sacrificing one thing for another, because we're not.
Yeah, you're just bad anyway.
So it's actually the perfect position for him to be in. It's a less pressure position, and now he can just
no consequence.
Now, as a coach, I can teach. As a player, I can take time and learn. Right now, it's all about how much patience they're willing to have with him, and how quick he's gonna process this and pick it up and translate it.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, worst case scenario, you're still an 11-win team, so that's
right.
Kind of where we
Let's
are.
focus on something else. Let's focus on something else that we can help out in the future.
One thing that's been a bright spot for this year's team has been Deni Avdija's rebounding and sort of transition from defense to offense, and this is something we've talked about, from day one on the show, is his grab and go potential. And the fact that they have several guys that have grab and go potential, thought it could be like one of their kind of key things offensively is you can trust him to grab and go. You can trust Kuzma to grab and go. You can even trust like Kispert and some of these other, smaller guys to grab and go too. Obviously your guards, not that they're getting a ton of rebounds, but you've got basically 4 guys on the court a lot of times that you can just have start the break. And I think that's been really big for Deni to put people on his heels, but he's also made really good decisions while doing that. So I think that's something, like I said, we've talked about here a ton, but Chase Hughes of Monumental Sports wrote a really good article on that this week. So I would encourage anybody to go check that out. But a couple good quotes in here from Brian Keefe. He said, when Deni gets a defensive rebound, that can turn into a fast break by himself or for others. So it's an area we're going to keep focusing on for sure. And Chase said that fits well with the way the Wizards are trying to play, because they're first in pace at 103 possessions per game, but they rank last in total rebounding and defensive rebounding percentage. So if they can start to get more rebounds, they can start to push the ball more. And hopefully if Deni can be the one getting those rebounds, he's been a guy that's made good decisions. So you're better for it. But the rebounding has to be an area where they improve. And I would continue looking at guys in that Deni mold that, are other guys that can start that break. So they can kind of do both things for you. Deni said, I feel like we're not a huge team, so the more you can help secure the rebound after a good defensive possession is important. It's part of my job, helping the big guys to secure some rebounds. And then he said, some of it's the lineups we play when we play a little bit smaller. Oh, Brian Keefe again. Some of it's the lineups we play. We play a little bit smaller. It forces Avdija to be down there rebounding more. Some of it we keep challenging him to do because that unlocks him offensively. And we've seen all of that. And Deni, again, it's something that I've developed with time. I think I started to be like once a game, but now when I get the ball, I feel confident that I can make plays for others. I can go to the rim. Once I catch my speed, it becomes a little dangerous. I'm just trying to do it as much as possible. I'm not trying to overdo it. When I have the chance, I'm definitely able to. So I'm glad that's something they're prioritizing, because that's his best way, I think, to put his unique skill set to use, basically. He's a big who can rebound. He can also move his feet. He can also pass for people. He can also start the break. Like, if you have versatility, you should try to use it. So I'm glad this is something they're leaning into. That's all I'm trying to say, I guess.
You have to figure out how to make rebound important to you. It looks like Deni has incorporated rebounding into his scoring effectiveness. Right? So, all right, so players usually break their game down to this. All right, I want to average 25, right? Well, I know I can get downhill. Downhill, I can at least get 10 points downhill, going downhill. I can get another 10 shooting threes, 9, 10, 11, whatever. I got to have to be my guarantee. I can get 2 from the free throw line, or whatever. Incorporate. Let me just say I can get 5 from the free throw line. Let me do 30 points. So now I know that if I get I play a specific way, and I'm a very fast player. If I can create the transition, I know I can get an extra 4 to 6 that way, right? Well, rebound. If I rebound, quickly defensive rebound, I get to create the transition.
Yep.
So now
5 more points a game for me.
That's 5 more points a game for me. So that's how they look at it. So to now rebound becomes important because it's a chance for me to get another 5 to 6 more points. So that's how you break it down. And I guarantee you Deni broke it down that way.
Yeah, he's a smart dude. I think that's cracking the code there.
So now he's becoming a more effective rebounder, and he's starting to rebound more because he's seeing that his rebounds not only show on the stat sheet one way, it shows twice.
Yep. No, it's really smart. And I think if you're Brian Keefe and you need more guys to rebound, if you're telling people, hey, if you get the board, I'm gonna free you up to take it and start the break. Now all of a sudden, if I'm some of these other dudes, I'm like, oh, okay, if I get the rebound, I can do a little more offensively. It's a way to incentivize people to do the dirty part of the game.
Right. Like bigs, they get the rebound and have to give it up.
Yep.
Oh, like Kuzma, I'm sure Kuzma have broken this down in his mind many a time. Right. I already know he made this incorporated into his game.
Yep.
Right. Quick, if I get a defensive rebound, quick transition. But Deni is pretty much faster than most guys in his position.
Yeah.
He's he's faster than the 5, the 4, and the 3. Right? He has the speed of a point guard or a 2.
I think it's nice too because he has been unselfish with it. That now as a defender, if I've done my homework and my scouting report, I know it's not he's going to get the rebound and go coast to coast and barrel to the hoop no matter what. He can do that, but he's also willing to give it up. So now I have to kind of guard these other guys too, and then in turn, that creates more lanes for him to do that because guys won't cheat over. So it's one of those things where it's counterintuitive. Sometimes it's like being more unselfish actually can help you be more selfish down the road. And I don't think everybody sort of gets that early on, at least. So it seems like he's, again, kind of cracked the code ahead of the curve here a little bit.
Yeah, it's a code. It is being unselfish, but it's also being unselfish to almost get the ball back.
Yeah,
exactly. If I'm Deni, I'm going full transition. I'm being unselfish, right? And I'm going transition. I know the team is going to crowd me or try to really, they're going to compact. I kick it out. As soon as I kick it out, I pop. As soon as I pop, I'm open.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're going to react to the first pass. So it's just being a very smart basketball player. Growing your game, understanding natural reaction of if this guy, I kick it out, it's either the 3. If he doesn't have the 3, I'm going to be in that. Since I'm the first one down, I get to be in the position where the guy has to make the extra pass. That's a guaranteed shot.
I think when we've seen the Wizards be good, it's when guys are willing to make those passes and be unselfish. It's when the offense bogs down is when someone makes that kick out and then the dude does something stupid with it. It's when the ball hums. There's a couple different ways certain guys can beat you too. And now if you're kicking out to Corey, he can attack a closeout and he'll kick it, opposite corner. And then the ball will move around the perimeter and you're like, oh, okay. They've got the defense on the heels now. And it's a lot easier for them to score because they don't have that one marquee guy that's breaking down a defense by themselves. But you can break down a defense by passing the ball and being unselfish. And we've seen them do that in stretches. It just doesn't happen, enough really for them to, or consistently enough for that to be their calling card yet. But that's the blueprint for me, I think, is just this really, really unselfish team and have 5 guys out there that can all be threats to hurt you.
Right. Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see if they focus on that. One of the players who I think has been a little better most of the time here the last couple of weeks is Jordan Poole. And then in Anscape, Martenzi, I think I'm saying that right. Johnson wrote an article on Jordan Poole and some interesting tidbits in there about Jordan Poole. Likes making candles. He likes gardening. So learned some interesting stuff about him in his free time. But really the unique takeaways in the article were sort of related to his confidence. So, yeah,
making candles.
I'm sure you had some teammates with some weird hobbies as they tried to find ways to decompress. but I don't know. That's one of the more unique ones I think I've ever heard.
Trying to vision that.
Yeah, it's either make candles or gardening. I would have a guy that likes to do both as sort of his ways to unwind was a little bit of a surprise to me.
Man, middle name is HGTV.
Seriously, and he's got to build that career after basketball here.
Yeah.
If we see a Jordan Poole on a house flipping show over the summer, we'll know what's up.
Right.
They asked him a little bit about just kind of like the response he's gotten online and basically people kind of hating on him for the year he's had. And he said the confidence thing has always stood out and been a staple just because not everybody's a fan of that, just because not everybody has that confidence. Those who don't have confidence are probably the ones who are hating. So those of us who have been critical of Jordan Poole's game, we're hating on his confidence because we don't have any. It's not that we thought it was bad basketball or bad basketball IQ. So I thought that was a unique way to look at it.
I don't think it's not. Yeah, we are hating on his confidence.
Yeah, right. It's irrational sometimes.
Jordan Poole, you're correct.
Yeah.
We're hating on your confidence.
Yeah.
Because it's confidence, but it's a fantasy confidence.
Yeah, it's not based in reality here.
It's not based in reality. That's the thing. It's not that we don't want you to be confident.
Mm-hmm.
We want a confidence that helps the team win.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want the confidence that the type of confidence that you so confidence that you're not based in reality to it's almost an ignorant confidence to the point that you're on Shaq and the Fool every day.
Right, exactly.
Right? That's the confidence that everyone is hating on. That's that specific confidence there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that specific confidence that you take in a half-court shot when it's a tough game, it's a close game, and we need a better shot. We need a more a higher shot that a better shot, right? Mm-hmm. We need a much better shot, right? With a better percentage. And so that's the confidence we're hating on. Like we're hating on the crazy moves that you about to thinking that, okay, you about to sit down on the floor and fall and you might take this shot while you're sitting on the floor. That's the confidence we're hating on. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah. We're not hating on you.
Yeah.
We're not hating on the game that we know you can play. Mm-hmm. We know you're a very extremely good player. We even need you. We need that. We know the player we need. We've seen the player we need. That player is very confident.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need the overinflated confident player outside of that. We're just hating on the overinflation.
I think that's really the frustrating part with him is we've seen him play better, smarter basketball. So when he does this kind of shit, it's like, really? You come here and do this? Like, come on, man. If you hit 2 threes and you want to pull up from 30 feet and take a heat check 3, I'm not saying shit about it, do you? Right. But it's when you're 0 for 6 and you decide to shoot a step back 3 over Kristaps Porzingis' outstretched arms while, like trying to look him off. Like, that's the kind of stuff that people just kind of face palm when they do it.
We're just hating on the ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, he's been playing better, and he's been, more confident. And I get it, man. You got to be confident as a player. You got to be extremely confident as a player.
Yeah.
But it can't just be like you can't be out of space with the confidence that you're not even in reality.
There were a couple other quotes in there that we've talked about here. He said similar things in the past, but he said if that was the case, So he talked about how he's been mindful of how the fans feel about the on-court product, and that he and his teammates want team success just as much as the fan base does. But the players understand it's not an overnight change, and that they have to get used to bottoming them out to completely rebuild the franchise. And he desperately wants to give the fans something to root for, to be proud of, but that can't be accomplished with a snap of the finger. And quote, if that was the case, we would have did that shit. Everybody would have already did that, bro. You think we wouldn't be out here winning 9 games? I don't really buy the we have to totally bottom out to rebuild the franchise thing. Like, yeah, you want to be bad and yeah, you want to tank for a draft pick, but it doesn't mean you have to be this level of bad and look flat offensively and do dumb shit to do it. That's giving yourself an excuse for crazy play. And that's more kind of delusionalness to me. Ginelli said it in the quote here. Ginelli 1810. Go on and say delusion. I think that's delusion from my perspective.
He sounds very young.
Yeah.
He's going to look back at this interview and these comments he's given one day, and like, man, and again, it's the same thing. It's his responses are the same thing as the play that he's doing. It's that not understanding. Like you say, it's delusional.
Yep.
Right? He's thinking now that we're playing only the way we're playing because we have to completely bottom out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What does that have to do with you shooting ridiculous shit?
The front office may be trying to bottom out. It doesn't mean you as a player have to be
trying to bottom out.
Right.
Right? Like it's an excuse, but a player should never say that, first of all.
No. Yeah, I agree.
Never.
Yep.
Right? Because now players saying, hey, I'm trying to do terrible things. I'm trying to lose on purpose. I'm trying to try bad on purpose. Even though now he's playing a better game.
Yeah.
It's immaturity.
The quotes like that are honestly more concerning to me than some of the play itself, because you can rein it in. But if the guy's mindset is just, he said, if you're going to be who you are, be who you are. Well, if who you are is like an inefficient chucker, I don't want you to be here long term, but it is what it is.
What about getting better? What about becoming the player, becoming a better player, becoming a better teammate?
Better leader.
Like, what about being able to being a legend in this game, like making your mark? You're doing the complete opposite of what those are. So how is your way the correct way?
Yeah, if I saw those quotes as the team, I'd be like, all right, we got to talk about this.
Like, man, I would make media have to stay away from him. Don't put a mic in his face, please.
It's funny. The Wizards front office Wizards PR department is very restrictive of who they let talk to their players. But then they don't seem to be, sitting in the room when these interviews happen. That doesn't seem to be someone there kicking Jordan Poole under the table when he's saying shit like that. When some of Brad's interviews, certain parts of it went viral, it was like, who in the room is there? Like, no, like you can't say this, or you can't ask him about this. Like, those are the ones they should be, sort of more locked in on, I would think, as a PR department. But that, I don't know.
I would give him his own specific PR guy just for him.
Exactly.
Look, hey, you know what? We think you're such one of our greatest franchise players, JP. We're going to give you your own PR guy.
That's how important, yeah.
So, and I will make sure he have all of his talking points.
Yep. Exactly. If you want to talk for the full article about your new candle line, as this lovely young lady in the chat, Kimberly Modderno, said, the Serenity by Jordan candle line, I think that's a great thing for them to market and push. But him talking about his confidence and leadership and things like that, and then saying crazy shit, it's just, yeah, we got to do better, Wizards PR. Come on, guys.
Jordan fell for it, man.
Yeah.
Jordan fell for it. He fell for it. They dangled the carrot and he took a bite of it.
Yep, exactly.
And they knew exactly what he was going to say.
Oh yeah, when you asked that question, you know what I mean. Like they already knew they knew what story they wanted, what answer they could expect to get. It's too predictable.
They baited him. They gave him the bait and the hook. And he bit.
Yeah, he said the hook.
And that's now we got this ridiculous comments that come on, Jordan, man, you're better than that, bro.
Yeah. You're definitely better than that. So hopefully a learning opportunity for them. All right. We got a couple listener questions here and then we'll get out of here. Wiggs Gaming asked about potential coaching candidates. And just with somebody we've talked about on the show here, Jerry Stackhouse has parted ways with Vanderbilt. He is now available and talked a lot about, wanting to help guys carry themselves the right way and establish the right culture and taking things seriously and accountability and all this stuff. But then also talked about just kind of not being able to, set up to succeed in sort of the NIL perspective and with the transfer portal, and Vanderbilt's only very recently been able to take transfers and things like that. So I think he felt like he was kind of like the deck was stacked against him, and I agree with him, honestly. And when you watch Vanderbilt, it was like, okay, here are mid-major players playing in the SEC, but running like NBA sets. So I'm still on the Jerry bandwagon here, but I kind of think the Wizards are going to try to keep Brian Keefe. But if you're Jerry and you're not going to go back to college, given some of those comments about NIL and portal and things like that, I would take a head assistant job of an NBA team. If I were Washington, that's the kind of guy I'd be trying to bolster my staff with.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now Keefe is interim coach.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you have to earn your way as an interim coach to be a permanent head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say Keefe has pretty much earned his way at this point.
I don't think he's done anything to lock it up. I just have a hunch they're going to keep him, at least on a short term.
Yeah, true. I don't see it. Just my opinion.
Yeah, true.
My humble opinion.
Yep.
I think he was probably kind of brought in to take that position.
Yep.
Right. I do. But I'm seeing the way. I don't know how the team is reacting to him.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how much
they're buying in and all that kind of stuff.
But I'm not saying buying in.
Okay.
I don't know how much impact he's made. Like, he hasn't really made an impact for his win and loss columns go.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now he has, if you break down certain analytics and statistics and the numbers and those type of ways, I think we do have certain better analytical numbers than we had before, statistics that we had before in certain categories. But when you have an opportunity, to really make an impact, man, go get an impactful coach. I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just saying it's some that's proven out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stackhouse has proven himself in the G League. He never really got a chance to get the dynamic talent because of the school he was at, and all the roadblocks he was in, because that school is going to. And not saying that players are smart, but that school really just isn't a sports school, more than it's a completely academic school. They're not going to, tread the line either way. So, but like he said, it made his job easier there because he don't have to worry about all the other riffraff that he would have to worry about going to a school with great players. Great players and the riffraff is different.
Yeah, less drama.
So I understand why he wouldn't want to go to another, university to coach.
Yeah.
Because now he would have to deal with a lot more. He'd rather deal with grown men that, that's accountable for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, and he was a former Wizard player. I think it would fit in so many ways. It'd be a great marketing tool. But also, I think I really think he will be a really good coach, especially because you need guys. You need, if Poole is the person that we feel like, okay, we can get him on a straight and narrow and just focus and play really good basketball and not do all the crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Stackhouse would be the perfect coach.
Yep.
To be able to get him there.
I agree. Completely agree.
Right. Either they're gonna butt heads so tough, and Poole ain't tough enough to deal with Stackhouse. He's just not.
Yeah.
Right.
Who
So
is,
somebody gonna have to bow down. It's not, it won't be Stack. So eventually you're gonna have to follow suit. That's the right guy for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a very strong defensive-minded team. That's what that's one thing about him. That's what he does. For his coach, really strong defensive-minded team. Tight unit type of team. And it's and players take on the mentality of their coach.
Yeah,
If
he's
your
a tough
coach is
SOB.
a dog,
Yeah.
if your coach is a dog, your team takes on that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Your coach is a nice guy, your team takes on a nice guy mentality.
Yep.
And then when you face dogs, you try to out fundamentally sound the dog. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
Mm-hmm. Just given how Vanderbilt kind of struggled and it didn't end well, I don't think Jerry's in a position maybe to come to an NBA team and say, like, I want a head coaching job. I don't think he's going to get that. So this might be an opportunity to buy low on a guy who could be a really good NBA head coach someday and try to get him as a lead assistant.
If I'm Stack, I'm not taking going to an assistant job. I feel like I put my time in.
I just don't think anybody's going to give him a head coaching job right now, just given how the Vanderbilt
You've
stuff
seen
went.
him already be a head coach of the G League and win championships.
Sure.
Right. Seen him. He didn't do a bad job at Vanderbilt. He just didn't have talent.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I've been standing for the guy the whole time, so I'd be all for it either way.
I felt like my pedigree and the time I put in this game, I'm only going for a head coaching job.
You could be right.
If I'm him, because I feel like I put the time in.
He's paid his dues for sure.
He paid his dues.
I just don't know which team would do that. So if you can get him for a lower spot, that's even better. I think the way you built out your superhero friends for an office, if you could do that with a bench, to me, that's the missing piece kind of voice. Like we talked about being so excited, like a James Posey was coming in and then he's like 2 rows behind the bench, at the end in the corner and they don't let him talk. So it just got to have somebody with a little toughness that you've empowered to come in and be like one of your primary voices in the locker room. So I think he could be that guy.
Yeah. If they give him that primary voice, give him that leeway.
That'd be huge. All right. So let's see. Laser Machine asked a kind of related question here. Has the team improved, stayed the same, or gotten worse since Wes was fired? Do any of the new additions have a chance of developing into good rotation players in the future? I think we're on the same page on this. I don't know that the team's like necessarily improved under Brian Keefe. I think there are a little less nights when they look totally flat and get rolled. Maybe they're a little sharper in some areas, but it's not like this drastically different thing. Like you see some guys come in and totally turn teams around. I don't think that's what's happened here.
I personally only seen improvement from 2 players.
Okay. Deni
and just recently.
Okay.
One is obviously Deni.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if that's because of Keefe. Probably, I think Keefe say, all right, Deni, you're just as much as the man that's now Kuzma is. Mm-hmm. Right. Like now you're on that level, which now because Deni seemed like he playing with the most freedom he ever been played with since he'd been a Wizard. Mm-hmm. To me, just recently, last 3 games maybe, seen Coulibaly, Bilal, improve in a lot of little small sectors, mostly offensively.
Yeah, he was really aggressive last night, which I liked.
Mm-hmm. And he's not going crazy. He's not scoring out, scoring out the ass and putting up 20. Right. But he's more aggressive and it's smart aggression. Yeah, running the floor. Saw him catch a hoop the other night, last night.
Took the offensive glass.
Getting downhill, getting to the line. Yeah. Right. Drawing the defenders and finding the right man to hit. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I really want to see. So to me, no, we're not winning games. We seem like we're getting blown out sometimes by more. But for the specific players that we know, like major players that we know going to keep and stay for the long haul, like a Deni and like a Bilal, I see improvement in those players.
That's an unbelievably great point, I think, is just he seemed to have locked in on the guys that are here for the long haul. And that's what Wizards fans wanted. And that was honestly the criticism of Wes Unseld Jr. is that these guys that were probably the long-term pieces were the ones being most neglected. And Keefe at least seems to understand the assignment a little bit more. You mentioned Bilal had 15 points and 5 of 9 shooting. Team high 8 rebounds. It seemed like they've told him, like, rebound the ball and get the ball yourself. And it's the same thing we talked about with grab and go Deni.
Right.
Yeah. So I love that. I think.
Why not? We're not winning the game. Hey, man.
Right.
Let's make you into a more impactful player. Let's get all your potential out of yourself. Right. Yeah. Now get the rebound, take it yourself. Oh, it's a turnover. So what? We did not win anyway.
Yep.
Oh, it's this. So what? Now you get to play through your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way you learn is going through the fire.
Yep.
And then after a while, you learn how to get through there without getting burned, because you're going to get burned a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the option to get burned, so you know where the hot spots are.
Yep. Yeah, it's like you said, there's kind of consequence-free opportunities to learn here. Like, so give the young guys all the shots they can. Taj Wilson asked, will free agents even want to come here this offseason? Like, in terms of, is that a couple years away? Like, for me, if I'm a guy, you're going to have to overpay to get me to come here and be a part of a total rebuild again next year. Not that they'll even have that much cap space, but I would expect them not to add like too many, major moves or anything like that this offseason.
It depends on the player, the type of player, and what the player wants.
Okay.
If I've been in the league a while and I want to be in the playoffs,
not the spot.
If I want to get paid and play, I go to a nice city like DC.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not a bad organization.
Yep.
Not a bad city. You can have the opportunity to play for a bigger and better contract. Mm-hmm. Because you have the opportunity to score. Right? I'm not competing.
And you can show what you can do a little bit more.
Right. I'm not competing against so many other players where it's like, no, what are you doing touching the ball? Only he gets to do that. You're not in one of those systems. Right. So it depends on the player, what the player's looking for, and the person itself. Like, in the end of the day now, if I'm in the middle of my career and like, okay, I want to fight for a ring. Mm-hmm. If I'm one of those type of ring guys,
no chance. Yeah.
It's not the city for me.
To me, it's the young guy going into his second contract that didn't get an opportunity in the first contract, or didn't feel like he got enough of one, that thinks he has some things to show and prove and just needs some opportunities. Like, maybe you could buy low on a couple guys like that. But yeah, I'm with you. All right. And then several folks just kind of asked about just general March Madness thoughts, rather than us talk about which team we're going to win and things like that. I'd rather just get your thoughts on someone who's played in March Madness, Selection Sunday as we're recording this. What's that feeling like? What's it like to play in the tournament? I mean, is that as like hyped a basketball environment as you were a part of? Just kind of give us a little behind the scenes here.
It's nothing comparable compared to it once you get out of college. Mm-hmm. It's not even like playing and making the playoffs. It's much better than that. Wow. Like being able to be a March Madness team, especially that selection day, especially if you're on that fence of selection, and you make it, it's like, yeah, right. In college, you care more about what people think of your team, what the quote unquote, professionals think of your team, the beat writers, the
rankings matter,
the rankers, the other coaches. You really care about that. Mm-hmm. That means something to you. What rank you are. If you move from 2 to 3, that hurts you as a player. That hurts the entire team. It really doesn't mean much, but it feels like it means everything. Mm-hmm. Right? And March Madness is like no other, because the fans at March Madness, wherever you play, is going to be packed out. Yep. And it's going to be loud. It's a band playing. The energy is crazy. The fans are so diehard, right? And, half of people's families are there. It's the school. A lot of people from the school are there. So the energy that you get in the stands, and you will never find the stage bigger, more intense. Like, you have to be ready for that. Mm. But it's the best thing ever. It's the epitome of the game, of the essence of the game. The true essence of the game when you playing in the schoolyard.
Yeah, the purest form of basketball.
You thinking yourself as an NBA player. Mm-hmm. You don't realize the purest form of basketball is March Madness.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm so juiced for this time of year, and it's the only thing like helping me compartmentalize just how bad the Wizards game was last night. It's just like, all right, at least we had some conference tournaments on. We got the NCAA coming up. Like, Yeah, that'll be good. Just shouting out a local team here as we wrap up. Just props to the Howard Bison. These guys were down to just 7 players for their conference tournament run, and 2 of their best players from last year's championship team, which weren't even available. So when you're down 2 starters and multiple guys that were key rotation guys to gut it out against a tough team that feels like they're on a run, that's really cool for them. Yeah. So shout out to them, and then just cool story. Their center, effectively center, Seth Towns, is a 26-year-old. This is his 8th year of college basketball. For anybody not familiar with the story, had some devastating knee injuries. This is a guy at one point looked like an NBA player, an NBA prospect. And, now he's just kind of like being the steadying veteran presence on a team that, I don't know. I hope they don't get stuck in the first 4. We'll find out tonight. They probably will, unfortunately. But if they had everybody back and healthy, this is a team that I think could have made a little bit of noise. We'll just see if they've got enough, enough bodies to even get through a tournament game against a Power 5 team.
And just go out there and fight, man. Fight for the players who are not here. Yep. And play like you have nothing to lose. Play every game like it's your last, and leave it all on the floor. And however it turn out, it does. I hope they win, man, because I went to HU.
Okay.
I got a degree from Georgetown, but I went to HU.
I got you. Right. Yeah, right down the street, you can hang out.
Yeah, I went to HU now. That's where I went to school. I got a degree from Georgetown, but
you can't go wrong with that. It's a cool place to be, and I would encourage anybody next season to go check out a game in their arena. It's this like little old school feel, but you're kind of like right on top of everybody, and it's one they got to do a great job. Kenny Blakeney, I think, has that team 2 NCAA tournaments in a row for them is awesome, and I think it's the first.
I was on their campus way more than I was on my own.
I don't blame you. It seems like a fun place to be. All right, so last thing I got for you here, former Wizards interim head coach Ed Tapscott told a funny story on the DC Coaches Show, which I would recommend to anybody. But in light of former Wizard Otto Porter's retirement announcement here in the last week, I just wanted to share this little anecdote. But Ed was talking about how he was coaching the Summer League team. So he took them to a steakhouse in Vegas and just said, "Hey guys, I'm going to step out. Just let you players hang out, bond, get whatever you want. We'll put it on the company card. Don't go too crazy, but get yourself some steaks, have a good time, and enjoy each other. And we'll see you in, 2 hours or whatever." So apparently one of the other players leans over to Otto Porter and said, "Hey man, we should all get these Wagyu steaks that are a couple $100 each, but you're the first round pick. If you get it, we're not going to get in trouble. So Otto, will you please get one?" And apparently Otto said yeah, we should all get them. So they all got these Wagyu steaks. And I guess when Ed came to pick up the check here, it was an $11,000 tab that he had to explain why he was putting that on the company card. So shout out to Otto Porter, a man who seemed to know how to have a good time. And I thought that was pretty great.
I don't know what's up. Hey.
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't know what's up. One of the teammates really know about some high quality steaks. Well, it's high quality steaks in Vegas.
Exactly.
So Wagyu is already crazy expensive, but imagine like the upcharge in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Shout out to Otto for making sure his team, but his team got to eat, on the high end of the cow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, shout out to the teammate who suggested it.
That was a veteran move by somebody.
So shout out to Otto because he's he's from Missouri as well. So state representative, he represents the state. So
Otto's an interesting one here in the fan base. Like, I think people didn't like that max contract, so they've sort of in their mind made it into Otto was less of an impactful player than he was, but he's the guy that this team could have used like the last 5 years, basically. Like, and I think injuries really kind of held him back, but I really enjoyed the Otto Porter experience here in DC personally. And just looking at the guys that went in that draft and where they went, taking him 3rd overall, I actually think it's a pretty solid pick for what he
was. A great guy. I was a great guy, and he went to the same university from the same state. And Otto never played AAU basketball.
Yeah, which is crazy. I don't even know how they found him.
I don't know how Georgetown found him. Right. Somebody called there, and, he flew in the baggage claim or something to hide himself because nobody knew about him.
He's gotten sort of a bad rap, and I even made a joke just now about, him knowing how to have a good time, because we've seen some funny pictures and videos of him having a good time. But it's also a dude that worked really hard too. Like, you don't totally retool your shot once you get into the NBA your rookie year if you're not putting in the hours. And when we had former assistant coach Ryan Richmond on, he talked about how Rasul Butler pulled him aside and said, like, we're going to work on our shot every day. And Otto put in the time and turned himself into a good player. So need more guys like that. All right, partner. I think that's all I got for you here. Anything you want to leave folks with?
Oh, no, man. Good work. Good seeing everybody again. Good to be back. Right.
We'll get these back going here more regularly, everybody, and we'll close out the season. We'll get some draft stuff going here as we get a little closer to. And I don't know if there's any particularly good NCAA tournament games. We'll give you some thoughts on those as we go. As always, rate, review, subscribe, all the good stuff. We really appreciate it. Again, click that little like button if you're watching on YouTube. We're presented by betonline.ag, and we will catch you all next time.